You're listening to the Home Education Podcast.uk, your first stop for home education stories, tips, ideas, and adventures. Here today we have Frogger.
Hello.
How are you, Frogger?
Fine.
How old are you?
I think I'm 8, so does that mean I'm 9 next year?
You're actually 7. Maybe we should have a little talk about how old you actually are. You've been here for 7 years, and on your last birthday, you turned 7. So that makes you not 8 or 9, but actually 7.
Oh, I thought I was 8.
Oh, well, you've got a whole year of your life back again. How exciting. If only we could all do that. And we also have Toad.
Hello.
Hello, Toad. How are you today?
I lost a tooth. Fine.
You lost a tooth? Fine. Yeah, it was fine that you lost your tooth. But how are you in general?
I said I was fine.
Okay, great. And how old are you?
Am I 8?
Do we have to explain this one? You're 1 year younger than your sister, who is 7.
So
you will be
4.
4. Okay, and we've got Toad, who is 4.
6.
He is 6. Thank you. I think we're feeling a little bit silly today. Okay, on today's show, we delve into our home education journey and our reasons as to why we made that decision. We also discuss autonomous learning and find out what we made of Center Parcs. Thank you very much for tuning in and listening to us today. We maybe don't do tuning in with podcasts, but logging in and having a look to see where we are. Downloading. Thank you very much for downloading and joining us today. You are very, very welcome from wherever in the world you may be. It's been a beautiful, sunny October, but I would like to bring up a slight issue with September, as in, where did September go? Because it seemed to just start and now it's finished. Was I asleep for most of it?
I think it was different for you because you missed out on a podcast, so you missed a whole entire week.
That's exactly it. I missed a week of podcasts, and now I'm ruined for the whole of October until we get ready for November, and then we're thinking about Christmas. So, crikey, time flies. Anyway, firstly, a very big round of applause for Paul on his role last week as a guest presenter. Didn't he do well? Sound like Bruce Forsyth.
And thankfully, due to the fact that I faffed up the feed last week, not many people managed to listen to it.
Whoopsie. So if anybody would like to have another go of listening to last week's podcast, the correct one is up there. And you don't have to listen to the same podcast twice as we had done. But mistakes are easily made and it has been rectified. But again, a very well done, because it takes a certain level of bravery to be able to do this. And on that note, well done to Frogger and to Toad too, because our podcast is our way of recording and documenting our family time together as well as our home education journey. So in a short space of time, Frogger and Toad's confidence has grown massively. So well done to you guys. Excellent presenters. Moving on, this week we had a little bit of feedback from some listeners, and they wanted to ask us what our reasons are for home educating. So I'm just going to run through a couple of them just to let our new listeners know why we made that decision. The main reason is the English school system. We didn't have a problem with the school the children were in, and they were in school for that first year. It was a good school. But generally, we thought that the ratios of lots of children per class to one teacher, and the pressure of exams, particularly with phonics tests, and the increasing knowledge that they needed to have at such a young age. We thought that combined with a lot of time wasting whilst they're there, made us think, well, actually, we could probably do a better job of doing that at home, where our children's education and their happiness would be our top priority. We also had a little bit of this baby G just been taking out there. She's a little bit tired today because she fell asleep very early instead of in the afternoon, so she's probably ready for bed. But also, we didn't like the rules, that they were changing the rules all of the time, such as you can take your children out to term time now, but you couldn't when Frogger and Toad were in school. We didn't like that. We didn't like all of the rules. We didn't like the rules on packed lunches. And also our children being constantly measured and compared to their peers, which I don't think does anybody's self-esteem good and turns everything into a competition. So those are our main reasons for home educating. Why don't you let us know if you're thinking about home educating? What are your reasons for doing it? Are you dissatisfied with the school system? Are your children unhappy? Do you just think that you could do a better job? Or, as one of our listeners replied to us, they said that they just wanted to spend more time with their children, which is a very good and valid reason, especially when they are so young. Okay, so moving on, let's talk about autonomous learning. What is autonomous learning? Have you got any idea, Frogger or Toad?
Not at all. Me neither.
No, well, I had to look this up and I hadn't really come across the term until I started home educating. But autonomous, it's a phrase, a buzzword in the home ed network. Essentially, it means the ability to take charge of one's own learning. The learner is in charge. In other words, let them get on with it. Now, our regular listeners know that we are mostly structured, but lots of families are 100% autonomous, which means that they allow their children to do and to learn what they want to learn when they want to learn it. Of course, they probably provide the resources, so it would be no good saying, well, I'm just going to let my child learn to read themselves and then not provide them with any books. I don't think anybody ever does that, but they do have a lot more freedom and not so much structure. A good read on the subject is by John Holt. He has a couple of books out there. A lot of people talk about how wonderful the John Holt books are. I found them interesting, but I also found them a little bit higgledy-piggledy, a little bit long-winded. Didn't really enjoy reading them, but they are an interesting perspective on the autonomous style of learning. So can children teach themselves? And is there, as studies suggest, a right time for children to learn? Is it like throwing marshmallows at somebody with their mouth open from a metre away and expecting them to catch it? You might as well do that sometimes if children aren't ready to learn. And a lot of people believe that children develop and then learn at their own time, and everybody develops differently. Well, I'm going to leave that question out there. But meanwhile, in our household, we've had some breakthroughs during this last week. And the first one is that Toad has managed to learn. What have you managed to learn this week?
Swimming.
Yep, I'm going to go on to that in a second. What's the other thing that you've done this week?
Biking.
You have been riding your bike.
He's learnt to ride his bike. Finally!
Yay! Excellent. Without the stabilisers on, of course. You've done very, very well. And a year ago, or over a year ago, when we took Frogger's stabilisers off, she fell off once and then she was away. But meanwhile, Toad didn't quite have the balance to be able to go. Suddenly, a year later, and I can't say that we have pushed the biking at all, a year later, Toad gets back on again. Boom, boom, boom. Suddenly, with a little bit of practice, he can do it. And that makes me think, was he ready to do it at that point? I think he probably was. I think before that, maybe some part of his brain hadn't joined up quite yet, hadn't quite made the connection, more a developmental thing. And I don't think any forcing from us to practice his cycling over and over again would have made him do it any earlier. He would have just learned to resent going out on his bike and be like, no, don't make me go on it again. But as it was, you've just learned that all by yourself. It's an interesting perspective. Whilst we were away, though, the children have made another breakthrough, and this is one that myself and Paul have always thought and felt the pressure that we needed to pay for them to have swimming lessons. Now, we live 6 miles from the swimming pool, and with Frogger and Toad, them only being 1 year apart, the ratios have changed, and I wasn't able to take them swimming together alone. There's also the fact that the swimming pool is ridiculously cold where we live, so it all becomes, and baby G didn't really like water up until maybe about 2 weeks ago. So all of these factors put together mean that we didn't go swimming as much as we would have liked to, And we didn't get them swimming lessons. And I always felt the pressure that we should have let them have swimming lessons. However, then when we were at Center Parcs, why are you rolling your eyes at me? What's the matter?
Because I don't want to have swimming lessons, and yet I don't need swimming lessons because now I can finally swim without anything.
Frogger has completely hit the nail on the head there. They haven't had swimming lessons. We've been swimming a few times, not that much really. This time we went in the pool, they took off their armbands, they took off their life jackets and they swam. Toad, underwater, can swim a good few metres underwater. And Frogger can swim a few metres on top as well. And they just did it. So again, it goes to that teaching versus learning. We've given them the opportunity and they were ready to do it. So sometimes I feel as though the things that they're expected to do at such a young age, really, if they're not ready to do it, then it's again a bit like throwing marshmallows at somebody and calling it eating. What do you think, Toad?
Yeah. I suppose suppose so. Suppose so. Because it's like when you're really young and you can't catch anything yet, and so it's sort of like catching with your mouth.
That's true. Yeah, it is a bit like catching on like your mouth. It's just one of those things that you can't really expect anybody to do successfully if they're not ready to do it. Or saying to somebody, here, catch, after you've thrown a ball at them and they're not even looking at you. Yes, I don't want you to throw a remote control at me, thank you, to demonstrate that point. So yeah, I think you are quite right. So the main point of me talking about this is whether you have an autonomous style or a really rigid, structured style, bear in mind that all children develop differently, and as demonstrated by the swimming and the riding a bike, there are some things that children will just do and you don't need to pay for, because as soon as they are ready and they have the enthusiasm and the equipment, the opportunities to do it, they will do it, regardless as to how many lessons you've paid for or their age. When they're ready, they are ready. Moving on, as everyone knows, although you might not if you listened to the wrong podcast, there is one out there, the one that we missed last week. Myself and the children were away last week. Where were we, Toad?
Center Parcs.
Center
Parcs.
Thank you. And who can tell me where Center Parcs was?
In Sherwood.
In Sherwood Forest, in Nottingham. Did we have a good week?
Awesome, and I saw 119 squirrels.
Yes, tell us about the wildlife that you saw there.
There was lots of different nuts. There was sweet nuts, conkers dotted about here and there. Coots, ducks, and I even saw a coot nest with bare eyes.
With bare eyes?
Yeah.
Wow, not with goggles on?
No.
No, not through a telescope?
No.
Not even through your binoculars?
No.
Right through our patio windows. Lots of wildlife comes in, and the beautiful thing about the accommodation at Center Parcs is that you are in the middle of a forest, but the way that they've kind of tiered everybody is so that nobody is opposite you or behind you. There are people next to you, but the way that they have laid it out means that you don't actually see any of your neighbours, which is lovely. It makes you think that you are in a forest on your own and you're the only one looking at the squirrels and the coots and the owls and the birds
And the ducks.
and the ducks and lots and lots of pine trees. So tell me again, how many squirrels did you see? Because you counted.
119 squirrels.
119 squirrels. That's a lot of squirrels for 4 days, especially as we weren't there for a whole day. So Toad, can you tell us about the swimming pool?
Well, there was this little end where there were loads of little kids swimming about and growing ups. Of course, because it's a shallow end, so they can put their feet in the ground when they've had enough.
Yeah,
Walk about, go underwater proper.
a nice little pirate ship area for toddlers, separate area for toddlers. And then the main pool starts off very, very shallow as well. So the toddlers, again, can go into the main pool whilst older or more confident swimmers are swimming. Yes, please continue.
And there was this bit where it was really deep that me and Fogger went in, where I probably was practicing to do swimming first. And where I was practicing to go underwater and swim. To be fair, you are pretty good at going underwater. Yeah, I love it.
One of the great things is that, Toad, when you were going underwater, originally, you were holding your nose for some unknown reason, holding your nose and going underwater. And then I explained to you that all you do under the water is don't use your nose and you don't have to hold it. And suddenly you realise that you could be underwater and have both hands to use, which allowed you to swim.
Yeah, or duck under.
And duck under, yeah. And we found the private pool as well, didn't we? Where it was a straight pool. It wasn't just a fun pool where we could go up and down. And we also went into the big whirlpool area.
Yeah.
What happened every half an hour? There was a light went off and a funny noise that sounded a bit like Tarzan.
The waves started.
What happened? Waves in a pool inside?
Yeah, there's this big machine at the back, as you told us, and that's where the waves came out.
That's true. And then we all swayed backwards and forwards, bobbing around. It was very good fun. And even Grandad went in swimming, didn't he?
Yep, even though he doesn't like to go swimming.
No, he doesn't, but I think perhaps he enjoyed it a little bit. And the good thing was that there's plenty of seating around the pool area as well. So as long as you take your shoes off and pop your swimming trunks on, if you've got a towel, take that, and you can sit and watch. You don't have to get in the pool. You can get drinks. There's private beach huts that you can hire if you really wanted to, with TVs. Who wants to go to a swimming pool and watch TV, though? It seems a little bit odd to me, but some people do want to do that for some reason. And there's a cafe, so you can get food. Lots of people playing in the pool and then coming out and having something to eat and getting in the pool again. You can get an alcoholic drink if you want to, but please drink responsibly. So there's lots of things to do. You can spend the whole day at the pool. There's also fun areas where there are lots of slides. Unfortunately, because we had Baby G with us and because Frogger and Toad are not confident swimmers yet, we didn't go on any of the slides, but the people who were on the slides looked like they were having a whale of a time. The water slides, which Toad was referring earlier to water flies because you fly on the water.
Yeah, water slides.
Yeah, easy mistake to make, but I like it. Maybe you should put it out there to somebody that they should rename it water flies.
Water flies.
But then they might get confused with bugs that live in the water. Swimming pool, water flies. Okay, we are deviating from our topic here. So Center Parcs in Sherwood. We went for 4 nights. There's an option where you can stay for Friday to Sunday, 7 nights, or from Monday to Friday. Bear in mind that if you're staying Monday to Friday, the prices range from £340 for a basic accommodation up to £5,500 for 4 nights, and that's for accommodation alone. And this depends on the time of year and the type of accommodation that you're staying in. We were in a woodland lodge and it was very nice. It was very clean. It had everything that you needed. There are self-catering facilities, so we could take our own food. If you don't want to take a pond in the accommodation.
No, the garden.
Yes, there were. Yeah, there was a pond where all of the ducks were. And there's plenty of warning signs out as well to let you know that there is water near your property. So don't let your toddlers wander off without being under supervision. Obviously, the more expensive accommodation, you get pool tables and saunas and jacuzzi and a maid service. But the basic accommodation, it was very comfortable. It was clean. We had self-catering facilities, our own patio, and a barbecue. It was very nice. It can be a little bit expensive, but it doesn't have to be. whilst we were there, I actually only spent £10. £10.
Not bad going, Mum.
No, and that was on a drink from Starbucks. And then I spent £4.69 on one beer. One small bottle. I nearly had a little bit of a heart attack whilst I was there. £4.69. I would want a pint at least for that. But yeah, it was quite expensive. Obviously, everything is when you are there. But if you are prepared, you can take your own food and your own alcohol, and it doesn't have to cost a lot of money. There are plenty of things to do at Center Parcs. The pool, particularly with children, is great fun. What else can you do there? Do you remember, Frogger, the other things that we did?
Bowling.
We did pay for bowling. Yep, there are lots of activities you can get involved in. You can do kind of go-ape activities. There's go-karting, boating, orienteering. Basically, if it's an outdoor activity, you name it and you can do it at Center Parcs, but it does have a price. Was there anything else that we did that was free?
We went to the parks and we had a little paddle in the lake.
Yeah, there's a few parks, some different ones. I think there's about 3 or 4 maybe of different ages as well. There's something to suit every age range. And as Frogger said, that we had a little paddle in the sea, and around the sea was a beach area where the children can play with water and build sandcastles. So that's something else to do. You can also go for walks around the complex. I'm sure as home educators you can think of loads of different activities that you can do in amongst the trees, to do with the wildlife and all of that sort of thing. But we walked around the whole complex, and I think it worked out to be about a 3-mile walk. So you can do that as well. Plenty of refreshment places. There's a Cafe Rouge, a Bella Italia, some kind of burger joint, and a huge kids shop thing that sells nothing but sweets and ice cream. And also a toy shop. So there is plenty to see. It's very beautiful on the night time, but the atmosphere is nice, even though there's thousands of people there. As I said, the way that the accommodation is laid out, you don't really feel as though you're there with thousands of people. Toad, did you want to say something?
No.
No? Okay, so would we give Center Parcs a thumbs up or a thumbs down?
Definitely a thumbs up. Thumbs up.
Thumbs up. Thank you for that. Moving on, it's time for Score
Of the Week. Week.
Toad, please share with us your score of the week.
Center Parcs on losing my tooth.
Losing your tooth. How many teeth have you lost?
0.
How many teeth have you lost now?
1.
You've lost 1 tooth, your first tooth. Oh, my little boy has lost his first tooth. How lovely. Did it hurt?
No, but I did make up crying.
You did. I think you found it a little bit of a shock because you've been wobbling that tooth for weeks, and I don't think you ever expected it to actually come out, and then it did.
And I think I must have pulled it out somehow. Like, banged my hand on it.
Yeah, I think you maybe
I've
did.
lost about 7 teeth.
You have lost... Easy for me to say.
10.
You have lost lots of teeth. Yes. You still got some to go, but Toad is just starting his tooth losing thing. I can't think of the word. Activity. Tooth losing activity by the Tooth Fairy. Did anybody come to visit you in the night?
Yes!
Are you going to tell us who?
The Take Fairy.
The Take Fairy?
You mean the Tooth Fairy who takes your teeth and leaves powder or whatever?
Yes, and what did the Tooth Fairy leave behind?
10 pound.
£10.
No.
£10. Wow. That's a generous Tooth Fairy.
No, £2.20.
£2.20. Wow, and a 20 pence as well. That's pretty cool. So in your head, Toad, what do you think the Tooth Fairy looks like?
She's got a pink dress on.
Okay.
With a blue face.
A pink dress and a blue face. Does she have hair?
She has bald.
She's bald. And does she have a wand? Or can she fly?
She can pump.
She can pump. Okay, so she can pump and she's bald, but she wears a pink dress. I think I know someone like that, but I don't think they can fly, so that can't be the same person. Moving on. Frogger, what's your score of the week?
Being able to swim for my first time in my life.
Being able to swim for the first time without any armbands on. Yes, well done. You really enjoyed that. Are you looking forward to going swimming again?
Yeah,
Definitely. Good. Because we are hoping to, at the weekend, to go swimming again. We're going to try out Redcar Pool, which has been rebuilt recently. And we're also going to try out Junior Park Run, hopefully, on Sunday. So lots of exciting things coming up. That's about all we've got time for today. Next week, hear about our homeschool cooperative, how we are working together with other families to get the best out of everybody and bring it all together to everybody's advantage. That is all we've got time for. Are there any final thoughts from Toad?
No. Goodbye.
From Frogger?
Not that I can think of. I'm afraid. Maybe next time. Oh yes, there is actually. Learning all about bugs and finding a caterpillar in the soil. How peculiar.
Mm-hmm. That's what you'd like to share with everyone.
That was
okay. You enjoyed learning about bugs whilst you were at Center Parcs, and you found one in the soil. What kind of a caterpillar was it?
I think it was a large elephant something.
A large elephant moth hawk?
Yeah, a large elephant moth hawk.
Yeah, very interesting. It looked like it had huge discs for eyes. It didn't, had tiny eyes, but the pattern made it look like that. Okay, anything else?
No.
Okay, anything from you, Paul?
Yes, I'd just like to thank Adrian Jevons for alerting us last week that the podcast was wrong. So thanks for that. Much appreciated.
Yes, thank you for letting us know. And if you do ever spot any technical issues, please do let us know, because if we don't know, we can't sort it out. And again, thank you so much for listening. We'd love to hear your feedback. We love hearing from our listeners. So please do get in contact. But that's about all we've got time for. So it's a goodbye from Frogger.
Goodbye.
And a goodbye from Toad.
Goodbye.
And a goodbye from Bit. You're going to go to the loo. Okay, you go to the loo. And a goodbye from Baby G. And a goodbye from me. Goodbye.
Bye.